It's officially game week, folks. The Dolphins kick off their NFL season this upcoming Sunday. And on today's show, we're going to go through some big-time news. Miami gets great news for that week one matchup. Plus, they did actually make a roster move this past Monday. We'll break it down on today's show. I am Nick Roloff. But make sure you do subscribe and sub for dubs. I want to get the new good vibes flowing for the new season, new viewers. Join the channel, 72,670 of us as a family here. I want to get to 73K before the season begins on Sunday. So hit that sub button and let's get there so we can secure a W before the season even starts. Let's get into some of the news, and it's official. De'Von Achane is going to be ready to roll for week one against the Colts on Sunday. It is still unclear on if he is going to show up on the injury report that officially is announced Wednesday afternoon, by the way. We'll have a breakdown of that when it comes out, so stay subscribed for that. But Achane, dealing with a calf injury the past 2 or 3 weeks, is set to go. Mike McDaniel mentioned this on Monday to Dolphins reporters, saying he will be excited to see Achane. He was having an unbelievable training camp and is expecting him not to miss a beat. I expect him to be available for week one. If he doesn't have any setbacks, he will be playing. And it's good to have Achane back as that RB1. We slotted Ollie Gordon, the second, up one spot to the RB2 role with Jaylen Wright as the RB3. Wright obviously a little bit banged up, won't be playing this Sunday. You'll see either JaMycal Hasty or Jeff Wilson get called up from the practice squad on game day. I assume it's going to be Jeff Wilson, but he will be the RB3 to Achane and Ollie Gordon. And I think this 1-2 punch is going to be absolutely lethal. When you think of what Miami has needed at running back, they needed a big physical bruiser to complement the speed and finesse that Achane has. It was supposed to be Alexander Madison, but he obviously out for the year. You drafted Ollie Gordon the 6th, and then with Wright and Madison injured, he has just risen up the ranks on this Dolphins depth chart, and I can't wait to see them on the field together and working in complements of each other. It's going to be very exciting. And Mike McDaniel realizes this as well. McDaniel asked about Ollie Gordon's rise up the depth charts this summer. He said that he took advantage of an inopportune injury situation. It was really cool to see a guy rise to the challenge. And I will say this, folks. I mean, all this talking about Dolphins football, we do it every single day, sometimes twice a day. I'd say most twice a day. I just need Sunday to get here, man. I am so fired up. I can't wait to see how Achane and Ollie Gordon work together. I can't wait to see how this defense plays. I can't wait to see Tua in the offense. Like, there is just something about this team that even though their expectations might be a little bit lower than what it has been over the past couple of seasons, that makes me excited. I really feel like this could be a fun season in Miami because of the expectations being a little bit more down than usual, which is why I need this week one game to be here ASAP. All right, another injury note here. McDaniel mentioned there is no doubt about Tyreek Hill playing on Sunday. He has been out of practice for a couple weeks with an oblique injury. He returned to practice on Monday alongside De'Von Achane. We'll also get to one more injury update, but two of the fastest, two of the most dynamic players on this Dolphins offense ready to roll for this opening game. And if you're as excited as I am, I hope you guys can tell how excited I am through this video. I mean, my skin is crawling waiting till Sunday. I'm spamming my memes. Let me see yours down in the comment section. Darren Waller is the other injury update. We have tracked his availability for week one. I got skeptical. McDaniel started to remain optimistic. We saw his agent Drew Rosenhaus remain optimistic. McDaniel hammered home the point that he should be able to go on Sunday after not really practicing with Miami the entire training camp, not participating in any preseason or joint practices. He will play on Sunday. Now, he mentioned that the amount that Waller will play in week one is a little bit still to be determined based on how he plays in practice this week. And I'll say this right now, based off him not getting a lot of experience with Tua, not really developing a chemistry or a rapport, and with him being out of the lineup for so long, I would be shocked if he plays more than 40% of the offensive snaps on Sunday. So I don't expect to see him out there for more than 20, 25 snaps, if I'm going to be completely honest, which means you're probably going to see a lot of Julian Hill and Tanner Connor in that tight end role for the Miami Dolphins. And we'll see. Miami used the tight end a lot more last season with Jonnu Smith. They also had to use it more with Tyreek Hill out of the lineup at times with injury, Jalen Waddle. So it's going to be interesting to see how the tight end position is used this year after seeing it get used a ton last season, especially when you factor in this is without a doubt the worst position group on the roster. I mean, it is. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. And there is always one position group that has to be the worst on a roster. It's just as night and day compared to the other ones. This is not great. And let's see if I get proven wrong. I hope I am. And I get it. It's not one of the most important positions in this Dolphins scheme or really in the NFL. But with Darren Waller, Julian Hill, and Tanner Connor being tight ends, that's really the only part of this team that I am very, very pessimistic about. Let's get back to some optimistic viewpoints. How about Ashton Davis practicing on Monday? I mean, we knew that there was a chance he was going to be ready for week 1 since he was not placed on IR when the Dolphins made their cut down to 53 players on the roster. He suffered that foot injury in the first couple weeks of camp. It sounded like he was going to be out for at least 4 weeks in the regular season. That was at least. Now the fact that he might actually be ready to roll for week 1, at worst, maybe getting ready for week 2 against New England at home. That is just so impressive. Davis, player signed in free agency to be a pivotal part of this safety room. Probably going to start Ifeatu Melifonwu. Maybe Davis is safety 3 this Sunday, but we'll see Davis creep up this depth chart as the season progresses and he gets more healthy because he looked like the better safety between him and Ifeatu Melifonwu throughout minicamp, OTAs, and training camp. Monday's practice did feature 3 players not there. Ethan Bonner, Dee Eskridge, and Jaylen Wright were the 3. Now, Bonner's not surprising because he's dealing with a hamstring injury. He will be out multiple weeks. Jaylen Wright, we know, is going to be out multiple weeks in September, and the hope is that he returns sometime in September, probably eyeing a week 3 Thursday night game against the Bills, or at worst week 4 against the Jets on Monday Night Football. The one that caught me by surprise was Dee Eskridge, the wide receiver 5 on this roster, because I was not aware of an injury before him not being at practice. We'll see what pops up on the injury report Wednesday, but you might only see 5 active wide receivers on game day, and Taj Washington might be that wide receiver if Dee Eskridge is a little bit banged up. More to come to here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, and well, you can make more decisions on Prize Picks, and being right can make you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I was right this past weekend in college football. I took the less than on Haynes King's passing yards, took the less than on Arch Manning passing touchdowns, and more than on Deshaun Bishop rushing yards. Well, guess what? That's a 3-for-3 entry for me this past weekend, and I can't wait to get back in on the action with professional football being started this upcoming weekend. PrizePicks is so simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. Take advantage of that discounted stat projection on Dak Prescott, pair it up with any of your other favorite players, and you could cash in. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, let's move over to the roster move Miami made on Monday afternoon. Now, it was a very minor one. It was just on the practice squad. But, hey, we update you with everything Miami Dolphins, whether it's practice squad, injury news, rumors, or roster moves on the 53-man. The roster move that Chris Grier and Miami made was Isaiah Johnson, the CB. He was signed to the practice squad, and in a corresponding move, because Miami is full on the P squad right now, they released the UDFA from this year out of Central Florida, BJ Adams. And if we're going to be honest, we knew Isaiah Johnson was going to come back. This is a UDFA from 2024 out of Syracuse. He was with Miami's practice squad last season. They brought him back, and he performed pretty well in the preseason and training camp this year. But the reason why I knew he was coming back is that he was originally kept on the Miami Dolphins 53-man roster. Now, they originally kept him just so they can bring in Rasul Douglas after the fact because he was not on the roster before that cut down had to be made, and he was kind of the sacrificial lamb. But it was a clear indication that Isaiah Johnson was someone they valued because they wanted to hold on to him a little bit longer through the initial waiver claim period. Say big body corner who's 6'3", 205, not the fastest in terms of straight line speed, but he's explosive, had a great 3-cone, great broad jump coming out of Syracuse. This is a player that I would like to keep around, especially with how well he played for Miami in the preseason this past August. I mean, in 89 snaps, he only allowed 2 catches for 6 yards on 4 targets. No touchdowns, 1 PBU, and a QB rating when target of 56.3. Johnson played extremely well in this preseason, and I am intrigued with seeing if he could develop potentially with Miami next year once again, assuming the Dolphins keep him throughout the year and sign him to a future/reserve contract following the season in January. I mean, he shows a lot of versatility as well. His snap distribution is as followed. He played 59 snaps at outside corner, but he got some reps at free safety, in the slot, and even inside the box. He can play that with his size, 6'3", 205. So Isaiah Johnson still with this Dolphins organization in some capacity on this 16-man practice squad. Miami is allowed to sign 17, by the way. That 17th player has to be an international pathway program guy. To this moment, they have not added someone to that IPP slot. So still just 16 players. Isaiah Johnson comes in. BJ Adams goes out. All right, to close today's show, the Miami Dolphins announced their captains on Monday afternoon. Alongside, by the way, briefly mentioned this, they are releasing a YouTube video on their channel, so be on the lookout for this, 7 p.m. Eastern time today, a look behind the scenes of the off-season training camp, preseason, roster moves. I am very excited to watch it. We'll see if anything notable happens in this YouTube video, because if something does, we might talk about it briefly on a show leading up to week 1, but you know I will be tuned in. All right, back to the captains. Here are the 6 captains Miami announced. Remember, these are voted on by the players, not by the coaching staff or the front office. So the players voted Tua Tagovailoa, Aaron Brewer, Alec Ingold, Jordyn Brooks, Bradley Chubb, and Zach Sieler. There's really no surprises here, if you ask me. We know Alec Ingold is a leader in this locker room. Jordyn Brooks and Zach Sieler are the leaders of that defense, and Brooks just took on that role as soon as he was signed last season. Tua has taken another step up in terms of his leadership. I was caught a little bit by surprise with Bradley Chubb being a captain, especially with him missing all of last season, but one of the best edges in football, veteran leadership. Now, I will say this, and maybe this is a boomer take. I consider myself to be very much up with the times, but I do think this is maybe my most boomer take. Bring back 3 captains. I think you have too much in 6. Let's be honest here. You can't have that many leaders. I think there should be 1 captain on offense voted by the team, 1 captain on defense, and then a special teams captain. All 3 phases of the team. Offense, defense, special teams. Those should be your captains that trot out there at the coin flip every single Sunday. I'm sorry. That's kind of what I feel like. Also to note, Tyreek Hill has been a captain with Miami the first 3 seasons he was with the team. 2022, 23, and 24. Not a captain in 2025 for the first time as a member of this organization. That is the right decision because he has shown that he has no leadership ability, and he has shown to be a little bit of a headache on and off the field for this Dolphins football team. So I'm glad the players sniffed that out and did not make him a captain. Just wanted to mention that because I know some people would have brought it up in the comments. That'll do it for today's show. We'll be back later today with another episode around the Miami Dolphins. But make sure you do subscribe. And let's get to 73,000 before game day on Sunday, because I was told by Roger Goodell, we do, it's an automatic 1-0 start.